Good morning, friends, and welcome to your virtual art class. I hope you had a wonderful weekend and you're ready to get creative today. We are going to use our name as inspiration in order to create a imaginary creature. We're also going to be exploring bilateral symmetry. We have looked at radial symmetry a lot over the course of this year, which means things are coming out from the middle of an object. In this case, we are going to look at bilateral symmetry, which means things are the same on each side. So if you were to look in the mirror and draw, please don't do this actually, and draw an imaginary line down your face, both the left and the right side would be equal or the same. So that's what we're going to be looking at. So first of all, I'm going to share with you a little presentation, and then we are going to get started with our project. So here we go. There it is. Okay, so we are creating name creatures. I didn't want to say insect or animal, just it can be real or it can be imaginary. Right, so bilateral symmetry. That's when both sides of an object are exactly the same, just like in this butterfly. If you look at this line that's going down the middle of this butterfly, that is called the line of symmetry, right here. So that would be like where you could fold the butterfly, if you could fold the butterfly. And notice that both sides are exactly the same, or close to it. Here are some other examples of bilateral symmetry. Sometimes artists create it, like you can see here with these swans and all of the cattails that are in the picture. That's what I call these things, these plants. But if you draw a line down the middle of this painting, each side is exactly the same. We also can call that a mirror image, okay? Same with this crab. You'll find it a lot in nature, that examples of not only radial symmetry, but also bilateral symmetry. And look at this cat. This cat here also shows us an example of bilateral symmetry. You can see even the markings on each side of this cat are exactly equal or the same. So here are some creatures that were created. It's kind of like what we're going to be creating. One reason I wanted to show these to you is I really like what they did with the backgrounds. But you can see here, especially on this yellow one, you can see where the fold is. And even on this blue one, they started to almost draw the line of symmetry here and then this red one, all right? Both sides are exactly the same. Even when they did the drawings and added more features to these creatures. So that's something you have to keep in the back of your mind. You can see clearly in this one, if they drew lines over here, well gosh, they have to draw lines exactly the same on the other side. Now this is what it looks like when people use their names for this project. And you might say to yourself, holy cow, this looks really, really complicated. But it's not. You have to remember that these are the finished products. And if you look, they've taken time to add a lot of detail and color into their projects. And I'm going to show you how to get started. So no worries. And here is one last example. You can kind of see how this is kind of part insect, part bird, part reptile, all right? All different kinds of things created here. And look, they made a more of a like a nature type background. But you could also create something that's a little bit more like kind of outer spacey. I kind of think like this one is a little bit of an alien, or something like this, that is just lines tracing the shape of the outside of the creature. So what you do with the background can also be something creative. And this one, they just cut it out and they put it on a piece of paper, which is also an option for you if you have something like that. Okay, so your learning targets, the things that you're trying to focus on when you're creating this art. Number one, I can use my name as inspiration for an artwork. I can demonstrate my understanding of bilateral symmetry by creating a unique artwork. So remember, bilateral, the same on each side. And there's a line of symmetry that's going through the middle. And that line can be actual or it can be imaginary. You can just kind of see it in your mind. I can use my imagination to create a unique creature. And finally, I can use art materials neatly to highlight and create details. So if you look back through all of these creatures, they did a really nice job of using their art materials in a neat way to really add details and show emphasis to certain areas. Okay, friends, so let's get started. So you can see here, I have my name written out, and you can see kind of like where we're going to get started here. All right. I wrote my name here in cursive, which you can do. And here I wrote my name in just printing, which you can do too. All right. So let me show you how to work this. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. All right. So here I have just a plain piece of copy paper, just like that. And what I'm going to do is I call this a hot dog fold because it reminds me of a hot dog bun. All right. So I'm going to fold it the long way. And I want to make sure that my edges are nicely matched up. All right. This is called a hamburger fold, the short fold. This is called a hot dog fold. So I have a long piece of paper, or I folded it the long way. Now, what I've just created here, friends, if you can see it, is the line of symmetry. That fold that I've created is called the line of symmetry. Now, if there's one thing I want you to remember right now, is that you can actually take your pencil and kind of make a light line here. Don't make it super dark, because then you'll see it in your drawing. All right, you can always erase it, but I just want you to understand that when you write your name needs to touch this line. All right, it can't be floating above it, because then it makes it hard to make it look symmetrical. All right, so I'm going to draw in cursive. If you want to draw in cursive, you can write in cursive, or if you want to print, you can do that. But just take your time and write your name neatly. If I'm going to write it in cursive, I'm going to make it kind of curly whirly, because I know that's going to give me the opportunity to make some interesting shapes when I go back to start to color and so forth and make it symmetrical. So you see how I've come right to the bottom here, and now I'm going to make my R. I came right to the bottom, and now I'm going to make my I, right back to the bottom, and S, and I'm touching the bottom, and the T, and if you kind of forget, you can always go back and erase. I'm drawing fairly dark because I want you to see what I'm doing. But I always say, draw light until just right. So I've made my letters nice and big. I've added a little curlicue on the end. All right. And that's it. So I made my letters big so that it's easier to color in the end. Now, what I'm going to do is take a dark marker. It can be a Sharpie marker. If you want to use your Crayola markers as watercolor, then you need to use a Sharpie marker to highlight things. It can be a dark crayon, all right? But we kind of want to keep our name a little bit highlighted. So what I'm going to do now is trace over my name with my dark marker. It kind of needs to be dark, so when we go to trace on this side, we can clearly see it through the piece of paper. If I were just to use a yellow marker or a yellow crayon or like a pink crayon, then it would be hard to see it through the other side. Here we go. And look, I am just about done with my whoop, and there's crossing my T. All right, now that I'm done with that, and notice it's all touching the bottom, all right, just like that. I'm going to fold my paper again, all right? And what you can see, and I'm going to get in real close, maybe you can see it, maybe not, but you can kind of see, you see the S right there? You can kind of see my name because I drew it in Sharpie marker, all right? So what I want to do now, I can see it clearly. You can't see it right now in the video, maybe just a little bit, but if you can't see it clearly as you're sitting and like pressing down, looking through the paper, you can take it to a window and just hold it up to the window, and it will allow you to see it better. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trace over my name, and I'm going to just go ahead and do this with my Sharpie, all right? And what I'm doing, why I'm using my Sharpie is so that it's going to bleed through on the other side, so I can make it look symmetrical. So once again, I am trying my best to go to the bottom of my paper. Just like that. And here's my last whoop, just like that. I'm going to cross my T, and I'm going to dot my I. So now look at what happens when I open it. All right? So now it has bled through, so I can see it clearly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trace over this real quick with my Sharpie so that it's nice and clear. Just like that. And I'm going to take my time. This is why it's really key to take your time and write your name nicely so you can keep it nice and neat, just like one of our learning targets asks you to do. When you use your materials in a neat way, that's called craftsmanship. And it lets you take pride in your work. All right, Aroni. So I have just traced everything, just like that, all right? And now you can see I have my name, and it is showing symmetry. It is the same on each side. This is the line of symmetry, all right? It's a mirror image of my name. So this is showing my bilateral symmetry. Now, this is one that I have gotten started. And you can see now I've taken a pencil and I've started to add some details. So making my creature here. And what I have to remember is that when I do something on one side, I have to do the exact same something on another side. So I'm going to make another set of hands here. And I'm going to make them long and skinny fingers. Or maybe they're fins. I'm not sure. But what I have to remember is I have to try to do almost the same thing on each side. Just like that. All right? And let's see. Maybe here, I'm going to highlight this a little bit more with my pencil. I have all these bumps under my table. I don't know what that's from. All right. Maybe I'll add some like flower petals or something. All right. And now once I have all of my details completed, right, all these different details, now I can start to color. And I can make a decision to color with marker if I want, or I can make the decision to use crayon, or I can use both, or colored pencil. It's all up to you. But I want to try to use my whatever material I choose in a nice, neat way. So whatever color I make the top of this eye over here, I need to do the same over there. So make this line here. There's the pupil, right? I'll take some yellow. And I'm just gonna have fun creating an imaginary creature. I'm gonna give some purple eyelashes here. And I'm just gonna keep going and fill this up in an interesting way. When I get to the background, I wanna try to figure out what I'm going to do there. And so you should just think about whatever you think is the most interesting to you, all right? You can create like a natural background like what we've seen in some of the other pictures. You could just follow the contour line of the whole thing. It all depends on how you want it to look. But I just want you to notice that I've taken my time here to make a heart is also something that shows bilateral symmetry, that I'm taking the time to make and color it the same on each side. Just like that. So I will just continue with this and make it as interesting as I possibly can. And I cannot wait to see what yours is going to look like. So, if you have printed your name, you go through the same process. You can see how my Sharpie marker has bled through. So I would go through the same process of outlining, or not outlining, but just going over these letters again. And let me tell you that printed letters make just as interesting shapes as cursive letters. So if I'm doing something printed, what I might do, now that I have my name completely highlighted like that, what I might do and what I've done before is I might connect these with different kinds of lines. Like this. And remember, whatever I do over here, I have to do on the other side, or do my best to do it on the other side. Just like that. So I don't want to get too crazy when I'm doing my outlining like this, but I do want to make it interesting. And I notice that I have to make my A on this side a little more whoop. There we go. And let's make like a little fin or something down here. All right. So that's what it could look like if you've printed your name. I would definitely come in and add these lines that help connect the letters in order to make some shapes. Kind of like what happens naturally with the cursive, all right, because all the letters are connected. Here, we're just kind of connecting them in a unique way, and that's perfectly okay. So from here, I could create a whole nother idea. I think I'm going to make these some really big eyeballs here. And some kind of crazy brows. Just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And then I'm going to make, I think what I'm going to do here is make some big nostrils. Oof. All right. And then here I might make some really big teeth. And just keep going and adding those ideas of what you would like to create. So whether it's printed or cursive, you more or less go through the same process, just keeping in mind, keeping everything the same on each side. Just do your best, have fun, and friends, I hope you have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.